What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the DK Garage. I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Joe.
And welcome to the Race Day Rundown.
Yeah, we're here to do a quick synopsis of this week and get you caught up on Homestead and everything you need to know from a DraftKings perspective.
Yeah, we're going to keep this real short and sweet for you guys. We know you're probably getting close to lineup lock, so we want to hit some of the key drivers that you're going to want to focus in on with this week.
Yeah, so if you want to know more and you've got the time, check out our full podcast. We go through everything. But right now, let's get this thing rolling.
Yeah. All right, so got to talk about the guy right up at the top. Everyone's going to be wondering what to do with Kyle Busch. We talked about him obviously in depth in our podcast, starting 24th. He's going to be in my lineups.
Yeah, he's got a great track history here in the last 6 races. He's got those 2 wins, which in the previous 5 races in this history or at this track, nobody's got more than 2. So you're looking at somebody that has some great success here. 6 top 10s in that same time frame.
Average finish in the last 6, sorry to cut you off, 3.3.
Yeah, and he's got 4 top 5s and second most laps led. So he's somebody that has the potential to do it. Plus, he's starting so far back that place differential is key.
Yeah, probably highly owned, but definitely look his way. Martin Truex, that's a guy we like, but not as much as some of the other plays on the slate.
Yeah, it's a little bit more difficult because he's starting 9th. He's got that $11,400 price tag. It's going to be much more difficult for him to reach a price point to reach that value point that's necessary.
But I feel like if you're expecting this race to maybe go unfold a little bit different than what is expected, maybe guys like Kyle Busch don't have a good day. Some of the other guys we're going to talk about here in a second. If you think, Hamlin wrecks out and some of these other guys, Truex is I think a good safe play.
Yeah, he's somebody you could look to and completely look at in a GPP scenario. That's where I would use him. He's not a cash play for me.
Right. Chase Elliott, another tough spot, another tough play for me. I like him a little bit more than Truex this week, but
yeah, it's the same scenario, same type of play for me. 11,000, 11th place. He's got a couple $100 less than Truex and a couple better place differential. So it's going to be a little bit easier for him to reach value, but it's still going to be difficult.
Yeah, if it's coming around that price point, I'm going to the next guy. 10,700 starting 17th. Kyle Larson. He should probably be the highest owned. Reddick will most likely be the highest owned guy, but I love Larson a lot. One of my favorite plays this week.
Yeah, he's got a lot of experience here and a lot of success. He was the 2015 Xfinity winner, so he's done it in multiple series. He's led the most laps here, believe it or not. So Kyle Busch has the second most. The only thing he doesn't have is recent success because he didn't race here in 2020.
Yep.
2019, he finished last because he blew up an engine. So he had the 4th most laps led in that race. So there's a lot of things that if you don't look deep in the data, you might miss with Larson, and that's why I think me and you are so high on him.
And a key point, another reason why we like him, he has almost an average of 50 fastest laps in his last 5 races, and that's in lesser equipment than he's in this year. Love Larson, and I'm not a Larson guy by any means, but I think he's in a great spot. Might be my favorite play of the week.
And he's an upgraded equipment that we didn't mention with Hendrick. So
right.
I am all over him this week. Yep. Ryan Blaney's probably going to be somebody that people are looking at quite a bit as well, starting 14th, 10-4. What are your thoughts at it?
I'm interested to see once I start plugging some of these numbers into an optimizer to see what it spits out and how it formulates everybody. But I think he's a great pivot off of guys like if we're planning on playing Truex or Elliott. I think he's a great pivot off of that, a little bit higher PD upside plus a little cheaper. He might even be a good pivot off of Larson if you think Larson gets in a wreck or something like that. Not super high on him, but I don't hate him this week either.
Yeah, so moving on down the list to Kevin Harvick, 10-1, starting 4th. I think somebody that you've looked at this week.
Yeah, I like Harvick. He's got the 4th best driver rating here. in the last 6 races, an average finish of 7th, and he has 5 top 5s out of 6 races, or his last 6 here. He gets fastest laps, and he has 37.3 average laps led. Starting 4th, he dominated mile and a halfs last year. This isn't his best track by any means, and there's some other guys who we like probably a little bit more, but 10-1, Harvick, I like it.
Yeah, the guy I'm not so high on is right below him at 9,900, Brad K, starting 7th. Doesn't have the best track history here. Managed to do quite a bit here recently, salvaging some high finishing positions. So he's somebody that can finish at the top. Just where he's at price-wise and where he's starting is just going to be extremely hard to reach value.
Yeah, don't like Brad this week. I think it's a little bit it's a tough spot for him, especially when you got guys below him like Denny Hamlin, 9,600, starting first, last year's winner. In the podcast, you really stressed the fact that he won stage 1, he won stage 2, and he won the race. He dominated. This is his type of track. I happen to mention he won the Pro Invitational, so he did sweep Homestead last year. Yeah, to me, if you're thinking about Brad, probably pivot to Denny.
I'm in agreement. We went really deep into why we like Hamlin and some of the stuff that are the factors of where we're rostering him and why. The next guy on the list, 9,300, Joey Logano, starting 2nd. He's a very similar situation to Hamlin. He has some success here. He has a place differential of 1 that he could get, so he has that a little better chance at value. Is not that much.
Also, finishing position is 3 points better too from 1st to 2nd. So you're really talking about 4 points that he can kind of gain over Hamlin, just starting position wise.
Yeah, so it's going to be a little bit easier for him to reach value. It's going to be challenging, but it's somebody that you might want to sprinkle out throughout some of your lineups.
I picked Hamlin to win this race before the season. I'm still going to kind of sort of reluctantly stick with it. But I really actually like Logano, especially for DraftKings. I think I like him a little bit more in this race than Hamlin, just because of the salary difference and whatnot. So
the next 3 guys are going to be the chalk.
Yep.
So we've got to talk about these guys. William Byron, 9,100, starting 31st. There's a reason that he's going to be up there. He's got an amazing amount of place differential potential. He has some success here. He's somebody that's developed really quick, so he has success in the multiple series. 1 year in the Truck Series, he won. In 2017, he had 1 year in Xfinity. He got 3rd. So he's got success in previous series. He's only gotten better here the last couple of years as he's developed as a driver. I see he has top 10 potential.
Yeah, love William Byron this week. I like him this year too. I'm going to be playing a lot of him. A guy that I also have some of is the guy right below him, 8,800, starting 37th, Matthew DiBenedetto. He's a better than a 37th place car. He's not in that old equipment anymore. I think the guys that he's sandwiched in between are better at this track than he is and are better plays. But if you're looking at being a little bit contrarian, I think Matty D is right there. He offers the best PD upside out of any of these sort of top tier equipment, and he's got a great price. I like Matty D. Not my favorite play, but he's good.
Yeah, and the guy right below him is, I think, everybody's chalk this week, Tyler Reddick. You alluded to it in the podcast, how he performed here last year. Just really great in this at this track. He's got a lot of Xfinity success and truck success here, very similar to William Byron. So I'm really understand why he's chalk, and I will have quite a bit of him throughout my rosters. But keep in mind, if he doesn't perform, there's a really good opportunity to be contrarian and fade and go a different route here.
Yeah, and I think one of the guys that you might look at in that scenario is Alex Bowman.
Yeah, because he offers some upside starting 13th at that price tag at 8,300. It doesn't take a whole heck of a lot for him to reach value if he gets a top 8 or some finish like that. So he's somebody that you could take a look at to be a little bit different.
Yeah, kind of running down through the list. Kurt Busch is good here. I think he's in a tough spot. We go into a little bit more detail in the podcast. Amarola, very similar. Guy we do want to point out that we're both very high on this week. And, I mean, if we're just being honest, I'm reluctant from the past to do this because he's always been that tough spot. But he, ever since last year, he has elevated himself. The team has elevated himself. Austin Dillon starting 22nd at 7,700. I like this play a lot.
Yeah, and something that we mentioned in the podcast and went into depth is his success here. He's only finished hasn't finished worse than 14th. So
amazing.
7th and 8th the last 2 years. He's got that top 10 upside starting 22nd. It's going to be easy to reach value if he has another top 10 finish.
Right. Christopher Bell, last week's winner. We went into quite a bit of depth about him and our feelings about him in the podcast. I do like him, but it's in a tough spot for me. Just starting third, it is risky. But if you are looking for a low ownership potential contrarian play, I think he's a solid play because you mentioned he's won here in the past in Xfinity.
Yeah, and the next two guys that we're looking at, Ross Chastain and Chase Briscoe, 7,400 and 7,200. These guys are starting towards the back, 32nd and 30th. So they're very similar. I wanted to point out that Chase Briscoe has more recent success than Chastain, so I'm going to have a little bit higher ownership there because he has a Truck Series win in 2017, and in 2020, he won one of the back-to-back races here in Xfinity.
Wow. Chase Briscoe.
That's who we just talked about.
Sorry about that. My computer died.
Bubba Wallace is next. Bubba Wallace and Eric Jones, to me, are very similar plays. He comes in, Bubba Wallace at 7,000, starting 19th. Eric Jones, 6,900, 18th. So very similar starting spots. I mentioned in the podcast I'm high on both of them. Why are you higher on Bubba?
I just think he's got a little bit better equipment with that Toyota package than Eric Jones does in that 43. We mentioned that they're both in very similar equipment, but I also think too, being having Denny Hamlin as your owner, of the owner of the team, I'm sure he's going to get some extra little tips about how to get around Homestead. So a little bit higher on Bubba than Eric Jones this week.
Then we really kind of go down the list to Cole Custer is really where I want to stop and talk about next. He's kind of sneaky at 6,600, starting 10th. He has success here in Xfinity. He's got a win. He's finished second to Tyler Reddick. Him and Reddick really have similar stats in the Xfinity series here. So somebody that could be under-owned, and I'm looking to kind of capitalize on in tournaments.
Yeah, especially after we talked about it in the podcast. I'm higher on Cole Custer after some of the things that you mentioned in there because it is a contrarian play this week. He doesn't offer a ton of PD upside, but I think the potential for low ownership and a very solid finish and a very comfortable price tag, I think he is a solid play.
And with the value being very difficult when we get lower on this list, there's guys like that could really be the difference maker. So I really don't have very many guys down on lower tiers to talk about, except for, in my opinion, Anthony Alfredo, 5,500. He's pretty low down there. That starting 27th at 5,500, I might dabble with, but it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, I think if you're looking for some punt plays or just some super cheap guys, Anthony Alfredo and Corey LaJoie, 5,500, 5,400. Basically same price tag, same starting position essentially. That's about as low as we'll go. Both. It's just because there's a little upside there, and then the way that helps you construct the rest of your lineup. So don't love those plays, don't hate them. Anything else around there, not as big of a fan of. So that's where we're going on that lower end.
Yeah, so what we did here, we wanted to summarize and get you caught up. If you want to get a visual of what we've talked about and a complete, synopsis of some of the information that we discussed here and in our podcast, please take a look at our race guide. We've got a link below. It's a visual magazine that encompasses some of the data that we've compiled over the week and just puts it in a visual format that's easy to read.
Right. And if you are seeing this at a time where you have you have a few hours before a deadline lock and you want to go into more detail about this, we'll link down to our full podcast down below where we go into all how we set this race up last year, all that other stuff. So you'll have more information than you need. But we had a lot of fun with it. But this is just a quick rundown.
Yeah, so we appreciate you stopping by, and good luck. Hopefully you have some fun.
Yep. Please like and subscribe.